Okay, today I'd like to welcome Naa Korkoi Addo to the Head Start project. Naa has kindly offered her time to tell us about her role in AI and her journey to date. So, welcome, Naa.
Thank
Um,
you, Paula.
and I'd love if you could please introduce yourself and just share a brief overview of your educational and professional background, please.
Okay, all right. Thanks for the thanks. But okay, so then Naa Korkoi Addo, Paula has already said that. I'm currently pursuing my PhD in University of Limerick. I'm in my third year. So my PhD is looking at it's leveraging reinforcement learning models to enhance the decision making in autonomous vehicles. So before that, I after my batch I had my bachelor's at the University of Ghana in Ghana. And then after that I moved on to work with Nestle for a while and I moved on to research. So my bachelor's was actually in process engineering. And then I worked with Nestle in the factory as an assistant production supervisor. So that's still a bit of factory and sorry, that's a bit of engineering and then food as well. And then I moved on to work with Noguchi Memorial Institute of Medical Research, where I focused on, I was in the department, food science department. So basically, some of the projects I worked on had to do with using AI. So there was this application where it nudges adolescents to eat better. So then every meal you take, you just take a snippet of it on your phone with your phone, and then it calculates your nutrient intake. So then from as time goes on, it prompts you to probably eat more greens or eat more veggies or eat more carbs, and then it also prompts you to drink water as well. We did
Wow.
that, right?
That's
Right.
super.
So
Yeah,
in there,
we
I
could
helped
all do
with
with that.
yeah. So in there, so it was a joint project with University of Lancashire in United Kingdom. So in there, I mostly worked. I did a bit of data collection, but I also helped with the annotation of the food images because obviously we had to build the entire database for the project. So I most people ask me, how did you move into AI if you had like a process engineering background? So my in my time in Nestle, I realized that there were so many. We worked on a lot of projects. So in Nestle, if there was a problem, we needed to make sure that not the problem disappeared, but we needed to take care of the problem, care of the issue. So in doing that, we work with on projects. It comes a project and we try to solve the issue. Now we have problem solving tools that we use to solve the problem. Sometimes the problem does go away. Other times the problem transforms into something else. And other times it goes away for a while and then it just comes back. So I realized that the tools weren't exhaustive enough. That was one part of the issue. Another thing too was even though I was a process engineer, if we had an issue, we needed to outsource to other engineers, especially IT experts. So I realized there was a gap. And then you could always the person can solve the issue as far as they can understand it. So if so as a whilst a process engineer is talking and saying their jargons and all that, the IT person is just like, okay, so is this it? Is that this what it sounds to me? I'll solve it this way. But sometimes I'm not saying they are wrong, but obviously you can't solve you need to they also need to translate to what they can understand and solve the issue. So I realized, okay, what if there could be someone who understood both sides, who understand the process engineering aspect and who could do a bit of IT. So actually I spoke to a friend of mine who had told me about this PhD program. And then I wanted to do something in the process engineering field, obviously. But in process engineering, especially in the food sector, sorry, where I specialized in, there's a lot of it's a challenge when it comes to data collection. And not because we don't handle our data properly, but because um that's not it it's not the goal there. The goal there is not to use the data for something else. So if you needed to use the data in the food sector, you need to annotate and do a lot of work, do a lot of intense work there. So then I my supervisor and I just decided that we'll do some we could, because in AI the methodologies you learn are transferable. So even if you, no matter the use case you use for your project, so long as you have certain learnings from it, you can transfer them to another field and then use it. So yeah,
Wow.
that's
Wow.
how
What a journey.
an interesting one.
So interesting. But it
Right.
seems logical now when you explain it. You know, that there's a reason for everything happening. So
Yeah.
currently you're doing your doctorate in AI in
Right.
UL in Limerick. Can you tell us a little bit about, say, your daily tasks now? You mentioned autonomous vehicles. This sounds
Right.
very interesting.
Right. Okay. So at the moment I'm using a simulation environment for my project. So I don't know. I'm not sure if, but most people in that field know about it. It's called car learning and acting. It's a simulation environment where you could. So for example, right. So that's how my project works. In autonomous vehicles, the I'm sure people would just say that, oh, they are being used on the road. You can see it in California and some other states. Yeah, that's okay. But in very busy areas, autonomous vehicles are not used. Let me put it that way. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to that the reason why they're not even used in busy areas is because when the environment is busy, obviously there are lots of factors to consider which can be problematic in the decision making of the autonomous vehicle. So I'm looking at the decision making in more complex environments. So in trying to make that decision in a complex environment, there's a simulation for the environment in which when I create the model, it's tested in. Right. So then there's a
Wow.
car, there's a road, and then the car tries to um,
There could be
maneuver through.
roadworks. There
Yeah,
could be
exactly.
multiple
It's
things.
road
Yeah.
signs and everything. So my everyday tasks are working with the simulation environment. I work with a GPU too because the computational power is really high for my projects. And then I also work with sensors as well. I do a bit of I have camera sensors, and then I do a bit of reinforcement learning as well. So I use a bit of Git to as yeah.
Wow, interesting. So you've one more year left in your
Yeah,
doctorate, is
yeah.
it?
I have
Wow,
one more.
super. And then you'll
Yeah.
be moving to California.
To test the car. Hopefully.
So you kind of touched on it already, but what were the main factors that led you to your decision to follow a career in AI? It's
Well, I okay. Sorry.
no, I know you've kind of touched on it already, that it seems kind of logical, but
Oh no, actually, yeah. There's more to it. I feel like I've always been a very curious person. If something came up, and so everyone tried to run away from it, I'll try to find out what exactly the thing is about. So when I heard about AI, everyone was just making a fuss about it and trying to say that, oh, AI is terrible, and I'm religious, so were saying that, oh, AI is evil, AI is demonic, and all that. But I sat down one day and just decided to read a few papers and said, can AI really be all that people are saying? Is it because it's I just realized that people are afraid of what they do not know about. So your question is what made me go into AI. So when people started talking about it, I started to read about it. So as I continued reading about it, I just decided it like a light just came up and just said, and I just said to myself, oh, it can be used in my field. How can I use it in my field? And I realized that, oh, okay, I can see it as a problem solving tool. I can use it in my field. And I spoke to someone who was doing something similar. And he said to me, yes, that's possible and all that. And I just went with it. And I reached out to my supervisor and he was happy with the idea. And I just felt, oh, okay, it's not as terrible as I thought it was going to
wow,
be.
brilliant. So curiosity again, and
Exactly.
yeah,
Curiosity.
yeah, filling gaps and filling needs. Super. Um, what were the challenges that you've faced on your journey so far or are facing when it comes to progressing your career in AI?
Um, Two opposite things really. Since it's a new field, it's fast advancing. So there are so many things that happen within a short period. But even though it's fast advancing, it can sometimes also be hard to get support in the field.
Mm.
I don't know why that is, but sometimes it's hard to get people who can, ac- because for example, if I just type something on the internet, I should obviously you get a lot of papers in that area, right? All right, but then if you actually need people to help you down the road, like give you the detailed information, it's just hard. It's
Yeah.
just so hard to get
People
some
don't
people.
know it yet. They don't have
Yeah,
the answers, perhaps. Yeah.
yes, but I wonder if they don't have the answers, then how come there are so many papers in the field? Like how
Okay.
come? So I can't get. I've not been able to understand that part, but that's the challenge I face. Like sometimes I can even speak to someone who can be. So reinforcement learning is actually it sounds really small, but it's actually really broad. If you understand the basics, you can transfer them. I'm doing a I'm doing deep reinforcement learning. So I could speak to someone, the person has an idea of deep learning, but not reinforcement learning. So if I start to speak about reinforcement learning, I lose them.
Okay. Because they don't
Right. So
understand it. Yeah.
I think the issue is there are a lot of specialized people. It's like I just pick one area and just specialize in it. So if you speak to them about another thing, they're just like, oh,
They
I'm
haven't a clue.
sorry, that's not my field. Yeah, that's the issue I feel.
And more specifically, in terms of your qualifications and expertise, have you met any challenges with those being recognized by others within your sectors, both peers or employers?
I'm not sure I get your question, sorry.
Oh, so what have been the most significant challenges in having your qualifications and expertise recognized by others? Or has there been challenges? There may not have been.
Your work being recognized, is it?
Yeah,
Not really. I'm not sure I've had that challenge, like
great.
trying to come. Well, I'll say that sometimes if you have a CV, it's hard to gauge exactly what to put in there. So sometimes people may not be interested to know you more. But as you speak to people or you try to explain what you're doing, then they are more appreciative of that, of what you're doing. So
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's really a challenge.
It's hard to put everything in one sheet of paper, isn't it?
Exactly. And then it's
Yeah,
also hard to know what to take out
yeah,
because you may be taking out what someone may be interested in.
I know.
And
Yeah,
sometimes I think this is a challenge. Sometimes it's hard to know what the industries actually really want
yeah,
because you may be working on something, but the industries may not be interested in that. For example, at least I know that JLR said they're not interested in autonomous vehicles, but probably autonomous driving. So sometimes it can be a bit of challenge. Is it so what how do I move? How do I go about it and things like that?
yeah, yeah. And I suppose we're going to meet that more and more as AI becomes more prevalent
Yeah,
and
exactly.
getting buy-in from both the top level right down. Do you think the education system in Ireland supports female integration into STEM and ICT?
I'll say yes. I'll
Yeah,
say yes. I mean, we are very few in the PhD program that I'm in, but there are still females in it. So I'll say yes. Yeah.
okay, that's good. And what skills and competencies did you realize you needed or were helpful to get where you are? And are there any that you'd like to develop or learn?
Skills. I'll say discipline
Okay.
because it's hard. Every single day you wake up and need to go at it. Like whether you feel like it or not, whether you're sick, whether you're in the mood, whether you had a terrible rough night, you just need to wake up and then just go. And then I'll also say, apart from discipline, I also say that you need to be resilient because sometimes the code may not run.
Yeah.
And it may not run for months and it may not run for almost a year, but then you still need to find a solution to the problem. And then I'll also say that you also need to learn how to block out the noise because sometimes you may be working on, but you need to know what is noise exactly. Because sometimes you may be working on something and people can just like talk down on it and say, oh, I don't think this how to do it, or I don't think you're going down the right path and stuff like that. But so long as you've read it and your supervisor says okay, and you've been able to justify as to why you want to go down that route, you
You
just
need to
need to go
believe in yourself, basically.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the kind spirit. I'd say.
Brilliant. Have you observed any specific opportunities or support systems that have helped the integration of young females into the AI workforce?
Um, Organizations.
Yeah, so like I know you're the tutorials co-lead with the Women's
Women
in
in AI.
AI
Well, yes,
network.
women in AI is actually really helpful. I joined a few other tech groups. I don't have so much time to participate as I would like to, but
Yeah,
there are a lot of groups in Ireland that encourage female education, even female career growth
yeah. And
in
your role within Women in AI in Ireland as a tutorial co-lead, what does that involve?
Okay, so basically we are trying to give we are trying to have online tutorials for people in AI. So we just pick an AI tool or an AI in AI, and then we have an online session where we try to um it it's like a presentation really,
Yeah,
but then we try to make it interactive. So there's a tool that we try to go over to make people more interested in what is being done. Because most of the time, if you have a presentation, you just say it to people, they're like, okay, well that's it. But if you have a tool, they are more interested. Like they'll be more interested in you can engage them
practical
even more.
side. Yeah.
Yeah. So then that's
And are
what we
those
do.
tutorials open to everybody?
Yeah, they are. They are.
Well,
They are. We put them up. This year we've not had any, but we will have some later in the year. But then last year, yeah, we were on it, and we even had a series AI in marketing. Adipula also presented in it. So that's for that we were looking at AI in other fields, so that people will know it's AI is not only for cars, it's not only for stealing your data. It can be used for other things. I mean, stealing data is not what AI is about, but I feel like
yeah,
people think that AI
yeah.
still
It's
is.
going to impact every sector, isn't it, in time?
It is, and I just wish people see it as a way to optimize processes and not take their roles away, because typewriters were people like typewriting was a job, someone's job some time ago, but now you have your computer and you can do it yourself, and
Yeah,
I don't see how that can be an issue, because you change roles every time. I mean, you don't stick to one particular thing. You always want to have a better job, have a better future, and all that. And AI can help you with that. So why would you think that AI is coming to steal stuff from you?
yeah. It's
Because
more
at
a
the end of it,
support mechanism, really.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. And talking about support, what kind of support, or are there any specific resources or assistance that you have found most helpful in navigating the challenges around gender imbalance in the professional world of AI?
Um, in to be fair, in AI, I don't think there are people who are trying to demotivate you from entering the field. I hate to say, unlike engineering, because in
Yeah,
engineering, people can actually say to you, "Oh, a woman is not supposed to do this. A woman is not supposed to climb this ladder. Like you should go and sit down or read a newspaper or something." But in AI, you don't hear people make those comments, or you don't hear people say stuff like that. So in AI, no, I'll say
right.
that it's not a field where when females are discouraged. No.
Super.
Right.
Well, that's positive and a lovely way to end. Have you any parting words of advice for young girls or women who are thinking about a career in AI?
I do have some few words. I'll say that AI is not scary. You just need to see it as something to help you in your daily life, really. And I think that there's a lot of fuss about women trying doing easy courses, or I don't know what people even mean by easy courses. I don't know why people think that reading or doing psychology or something else is easier. But okay, for me, I'm a figures person, so I think I enjoy AI. But AI is not hard. AI is fun stuff. So I'll encourage anyone who is interested or who is even a little curious, even if you're a little curious about it, you should come into AI, because we need more women.
Yeah,
Yeah,
AI is the future.
it is, it is, it is, it is.
Right. Well,
So I hope
now,
Sarah, sorry.
no, sorry, continue.
I was saying that my last words were all over the place, but what I wanted to say is actually AI is not as scary as people put it. That's what I have to say. It's not a demon, it's not demonic, it is not evil. I mean, whatever you decide to make evil, you can make it evil, but AI is none of it. And I'd like to encourage other people to come into the field. It's fun.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Na. That was a wonderful chat.